The following video is only my opinion, and even then it's an exaggeration. So, take that with a grain of salt. What's ruining Saberspark? I didn't want to have to do this, but we all know it's happening. Saberspark himself has given at least one nod to the idea.
Oh shoot. Maybe I've been ruined.
But what the hell is Saberspark, and what has caused the sudden lag in quality? Well, as far as I can tell, it was 3 short years ago, in 2016, that Saberspark first shrugged, harumphed, and med his way into our hearts with his thoroughly researched, but highly detailed, and funny commentaries on the rise and fall of various TV networks and studios involved in animation. Not only that, he's been instrumental in bringing some well-deserved light to some forgotten animated gems. Of course, he's responsible for repopularizing or even popularizing quite a few animated turd blossoms. Some of these turd blossoms, like Joshua in the Promised Land, have been amazing finds for my bad movie club. But lately I've noticed some rather disturbing trends in his content. And no, I don't just mean the random use of clips from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Someone who uses random shots of the Great Gazoo has no right to complain. The first problem is topic repetition. He's devoted not one, but 2 videos to What is Ruining Cartoon Network. On top of that, he devoted 2 separate videos to the abominations that are Teen Titans Go and the reboot of Powerpuff Girls. Now, I'm not going to defend the quality of those cartoons. They are, in a word, god-awful. But I'm sure if you were allowed to appear in my videos, my nephew would defend them with his dying breath. Saberspark has done 2 episodes on Nickelodeon as well, along with separate videos for Rugrats and the Fairly Odd Parents. It was in watching these videos on Nick when I really started to see the flaws in Saberspark's thinking. His line of thought was, wow, these networks used to be great. And now it's shit, which might be true. And it might have always been true about Nickelodeon. Judging by the shows he says he remembers watching as a kid, I think Saberspark must be 10 to 15 years younger than I am. So he's seeing the world through the eyes of someone in his 20s. And that got me thinking. My family didn't have cable growing up, but I'd watch Nick and Cartoon Network at my friends' houses whenever I got the chance. But I sort of lost interest in Nick when shows like the original Are You Afraid of the Dark, Salute Your Shorts, Rocko's Modern Life, Rugrats, and Ren and Stimpy started making way for Blue's Clues and Hey Arnold. I mean, I sort of like Space Cases, but other than that, nothing Nick was doing did anything for me. But Hey Arnold is a show that Saberspark and many of his age love with all their heart. The exact same show that Saberspark thinks of Nickelodeon at its best is the exact same show I think killed the network. I was simply too old to really enjoy it. But for him, it was the right show at the right time in his life to have an impact. It wasn't the network's fault. Nick wasn't the one changing. They were producing shows that children and early teens would want to watch, and I was no longer in their demographic. I was the one who had changed. I had matured, and my taste in cartoons had as well. I was much more interested in cartoons that only pretended to be for kids, stuff that didn't feel the need to talk down to its audience. Which means I was much more into what was going on at Warner Brothers. Batman, Superman, Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Freakazoid, those were my jam. Nor is this a unique experience. We had a family friend growing up who has a son who is maybe 10 to 15 years older than I am. I was over at their house for some reason. His sister and I were watching Are You Afraid of the Dark? He claimed that was the show that was ruining Nickelodeon. It was pushing out shows like You Can't Do That on Television and Double Dare. I know it's painful to admit, but sometimes things you love in your childhood aren't going to be things you love when you're an adult. Case in point, when I was 11 years old, my favorite movie was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze. I think in a 90-day period of that movie coming out on VHS, I watched it over 70 times. Watching it now, I think it's a colossal pile of Tetradyne feces. It's sad, but it's true, and it's called growing up. My larger concern is that focusing on What Ruined Cartoon Network and Nick over and over is that he's leaving off some more fascinating studios with even more bizarre rises and falls from grace. His video on the death of Hanna-Barbera is proof he's capable of digging into the depths of hell itself and finding a gold mine of material. Where is What Ruined Filmation? They might have been a poor man's Hanna-Barbera, but they managed to produce several memorable cartoons, such as Star Trek the Animated Series, Fat Albert, and the original version of He-Man and She-Ra. Or what about the truly fascinating and sad demise of Deke? Or weirder yet, Murakami Wolf Swenson, now known as Fred Wolf Films. I mean, Fred Wolf went from producing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, perhaps one of the best cartoons of the 90s, to doing, well, what exactly? Or what about what ruined Marvel Productions / Sunbow? Come on, Saberspark, tell us! What really started to ruin Saberspark was stuff like this would happen. I'd be watching his videos and...
Speaking of cartoons and unexpected segues, Cartoon Amino. So it should be no surprise that I love cartoons, and I love talking about cartoons. So it only makes sense that I would use an app that is all about cartoons.
Now, I have no problem with sponsored content in general. YouTubers have to be able to make a few bucks somehow. And it might fit in a little better with a what the hell is video. However, when you're doing a review, it might not be such a smart idea. Especially when you go from complaining that a company is doing whatever it takes to make a buck in the shortest amount of time, and place an ad right in the middle of it. And without even an ounce of the same self-awareness that permeates the rest of his videos. Which reminds me, there is something I've got to do. This video has been brought to you by Uncanny Valley Farms Lead Flakes. Do you want the people to enjoy Disney Jr. and Nick Jr. cartoons forever? Do you want to lack the mental capacity required to watch SpongeBob SquarePants? Do you want most YouTube Kids videos to make sense to you? Well, Uncanny Valley Farms Lead Flakes provides the solution. Just 3 tablespoons of Uncanny Valley Farms Lead Flakes a day, that's 1 with every meal? You're on your way to a childhood where you never grow out of the most simplistic cartoons. Uncanny Valley Farms Lead Flakes work by stunting brain development, ensuring you retain a childlike mentality for decades to come. Warning: Uncanny Valley Farms Lead Flakes may cause learning disabilities, memory loss, hearing impairment, memory loss, loss of appetite, intestinal problems including constipation, memory loss, fatigue, vomiting, memory loss, pica, high blood pressure, problems with attention, memory loss, reduced sperm count, headache, mood disorders, and memory loss. Parody Error Films does not now, nor will it ever, endorse the ingestion of lead. Do not try Uncanny Valley Farms Lead Flakes if you are allergic to lead or any of its ingredients. Now, where was I? Ah, yes, sponsored content. It has its place, sure. But when you're criticizing how the pursuit of cash over creativity hurts a studio, and then cut to a commercial for a product you were paid to promote, you undermine your own message. Doing it once in a while, maybe you can get away with it. But if you do this too often, you start to lose credibility. Here's the thing about criticism as an art form. It lives or dies by the author's intellectual honesty, which is the very thing sponsorship eats away at. But does a sponsor give a crap about how they make their spokespeople look?
No! No!
Just look at the way it was handled during Saberspark's, special episode about Jimmy Neutron.
So you want to know something that's also really weird? I actually got a sponsor for this video. I was even like, are you sure you want to be on this one? And they were like, yeah, let's do it.
A quick quip about it being sponsored content goes a long way to re-earning your audience trust. His other, special episode about Ozzy and Drix handles advertising much better. The ads exist, but he doesn't star in them. But most sponsors like to control where, when, and how their products are presented in a video. Sometimes a sponsor will even want a piece of control of your content, which tends to mean not dropping as many fish and all signs in your video. Not that that seems to be happening to Saberspark, yet. Besides, that's just my opinion now. Ask me again if by some miracle I wind up with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I'm pretty sure it would change. If it happens, hey, Barks Root Beer, have your people call my people, we'll do lunch. So is Saberspark ruined? I'd have to say no, not quite. But he's showing the signs of being on his way. Which is a shame, because thus far, he's been one of the best animation critics out there. I don't say this lightly, or, as the trailer for my own channel claims, a blatant cash grab. Saberspark, as a fellow critic, I'm sure you understand. The entire philosophy behind the art form is Quae Custodiet Ipsos Custodius. Thanks for watching this video, and even though it's not going yet, I already have my top 10 Patreon patrons.